We all think of it as the biggest party on earth. It's this incredible, dazzling explosion of color and music in the streets of Rio. But this world-famous spectacle, it's so much more than just a celebration. But what if I told you that this year's party was, well, different? What if behind all those feathers and fireworks, a completely different story was playing out? So, that's what we're digging into. We're going behind the glitter to investigate the high-stakes game of money, politics, and even crime that truly defines Brazil's most iconic event. All right, so here's how we're going to break it down. First, we'll look at the hidden reality behind all that glitter. Then, we're going to follow the public money. After that, we'll see how the parade becomes a political stage, and then uncover the power that operates in the shadows. And finally, we'll piece it all together to show you the true power structure of Carnival. Okay, so the first thing you've got to understand is that the vibrant illusion of Carnival, the part the whole world sees and falls in love with, it often masks a much, much more complex reality. Yeah, as one investigative brief puts it, the whole event has become a really lucrative business for a very select few. It's this complex machine where public money, political ambitions, and organized crime all meet, turning this amazing celebration into what some are calling a minefield for democracy. So let's do what you always do in these situations. Let's follow the money. Because to really get who holds the power, you have to know who's paying for the party. And get this year, sources found at least 700 million reais in public funds were used to finance Carnival all across Brazil. That's more than 125 million US dollars. And believe it or not, that's just a partial estimate from a fraction of the states and cities. Now, if we zoom in on Rio, the absolute heart of the celebration, the famous samba schools got over 123 million reais just this year. And that money comes from everywhere, the federal government, the state, and the city. So what's the trade-off here? I mean, a number that big isn't just abstract. It's what we call an opportunity cost. With that exact same money, the government could have built and equipped around 200 basic health clinics, or almost 140 public schools, or literally thousands of housing units for families who desperately need them. It really puts the priorities into perspective, doesn't it? And this huge public investment gets even more controversial when you think about the timing. We're in an election year, and that means all that taxpayer money can easily turn the famous Sambodrome from a cultural stage into a massive political platform. And let me tell you, we saw a perfect example of this play out this year with the Samba School Acadêmicos de Niterói. They were new to the elite group of schools, and they chose a theme that was a very, very explicit tribute to the current president, Lula. And we're not talking subtle hints here. Their parade theme, what they call an enredo, was just packed with political messages. You had the president's actual campaign slogan, lyrics praising him by name, his party's number, 13, everywhere, and even a call for no amnesty, which was a direct shot at his political rivals. It even went so far as to depict the former president, Jair Bolsonaro, as a clown surrounded by alligators. A political scientist, Fernando Schuller, he put it pretty bluntly. He called it blatant proselytism. He argued it was just a clear-cut case of a popular festival being completely captured by the harsh rhetoric of politics. Basically, a campaign rally paid for with public money. But here's the kicker. This is not the first time this has happened. If you go back to 2006, the roles were totally reversed. A school in São Paulo honored a project by the state's PSDB government, complete with giant puppets of their party leaders. And at the time, guess who took them to court for early campaigning? President Lula's own party. Now, 2 decades later, the whole situation is flipped, which raises some serious questions about double standards. But if you think politicians are the only ones pulling the strings here, you are missing the biggest piece of the puzzle. In the hierarchy of samba, there's a power that operates above the state itself, a power that absolutely thrives in the shadows. And this power comes from something called the jogo de bicho, or the animal game. It's an illegal but incredibly popular lottery that has been a cornerstone of Rio's underworld for more than a century. The powerful bosses who run it are known as bicheiros. As The Intercept Brazil has pointed out, the bicheiro sits right at the top of the criminal food chain. The late notorious militia leader Adriano de Nóbrega supposedly once declared, "I'm not a militia member, I'm a bicheiro." For him, it was a statement of status. It was an acknowledgement that the bicheiros had figured out how to turn illegal money into social prestige and real political power, and they often did it through Carnival. You see, for decades, these crime bosses have been the patrons, the big money behind the major samba schools. They pour huge amounts of cash into the parades, using the schools to launder their illegal profits, builds up their public image as community leaders, and cement their power. So let's go back. What happened after Academicos de Niterói put on their super political pro-Lula parade? Well, they were relegated, kicked down to the second division. And meanwhile, Unidas de Vida Douro, a school reportedly favored by the Bicheiros, was crowned the champion. The Jornal do Brasil newspaper didn't pull any punches. They basically alleged that the decision wasn't really made by the official judges at all. Their report claimed the order came from above, from the heads of the underworld, and the decree was simple. The Lula school has to fall. Okay, so let's try to piece all of this together and really look at the true power structure behind the parade. Because it's not simple at all. It's this incredibly complex web of influence, from what's right in your face to what's completely hidden. And this really illustrates that hierarchy perfectly. At the top, layer 1, you've got the public spectacle, the beautiful parade we all watch. Underneath that is layer 2, the public funding that makes it all happen. That money then creates layer 3, the political platform. But holding it all up at the very bottom is layer 4, the alleged criminal control. That, some say, is ultimately pulling all the strings. You see, this system means that Rio's Carnival is so much more than just folklore. It's a stage where the state pumps in millions, politicians can broadcast propaganda disguised as art, and organized crime cements its power, allegedly deciding who rises, who falls, and who really sets the rhythm of the party. Which really just leaves us with one final question. When the parade is all over and the lights in the Sambodrome finally go out, beyond the official results that are announced, who really wins? Who holds the real power over Brazil's most iconic and maybe its most complex celebration?